Hello, welcome to this week's paint along. I'm gonna do a little quick touch up just because it is bothering me. Made the strap on this side way too thick, way too wide. I'll just take this over here, just make sure we are somewhat balanced. Cover that up a little bit there while I'm at it. Normally I don't do this until the end, but it over here was really bugging me and making it really difficult to want to come back to this mini. So there, that's better. We need some more contrast there, but that's something I'm okay with waiting just till later. Plus I have the leather colors. I can always come back. I can always come in with that leather shadow. Okay, so we already got all the leather base coated, so now we can just work our way around getting things highlighted. In the base coat again, the shadow, or rather the darkest shadow, is Ruddy leather. Then right now we're working with a mix of Ruddy leather. It's about one drop really, of Ruddy leather and shield brown. I'm only need one drop of the Ruddy leather because they aren't that far apart really in value. It's enough of far apart that you can still get a good second shadow color, as you can see. Any place you see creases, just make sure you're leaving that darkest shadow still visible. Just a little bit. Next color is going to be a drop of shield brown mixed in with driftwood brown. And for both of those, for the second color I mentioned, like this one, and for instance, it's when I say the mixed in with driftwood, I'm thinking like 3 or 4 drops of driftwood with that drop of shield brown. And here's where you'll really see the difference. And it's going to be that mid-tone slash highlight color. So you want to focus kind of where there's going to be some light hitting it. You can always go back to a previous color if you need to do a little blending or anything. And even though we're doing this in different weeks, and thus the paint mixes might not be quite the same, should still look pretty similar to the leather over here. It's the same mixes, almost the same mixes, same paint colors being used, and very similar ratios. For these smaller things, you can just do like stippling, just to try and give that idea of leather texture, not completely lose the shadow as well, because that can be easy to do on these smaller straps, is overdo it and lose the shadows. Now, if you're wanting something like polished leather, brand new leather, this wouldn't be what you would probably want to do just your typical layering and blending and glazing, like some of these other areas of fabric, rather than the stippling that I'm doing. What I'm doing is to give it that worn leather texture of sorts. Now the final highlight is a drop of 1 or 2 drops of driftwood brown, and then 1 or 2 drops of pale flesh. This is just to basically go back over where those areas we just highlighted, and just do some very light dot stippling, even less than what we just did. Now this should still provide some contrast by the fact that this is a different color than the turquoise. If you notice, it is still kind of a similar value. So in that regards, we're not hitting on the contrast if you were to only look at the values. But when you look at the mini, you can still notice the straps and the turquoise. They still stand out from each other. And that is probably simply because we're doing contrast by using different colors, even though they are kind of similar in values. We can always, though, take one of them down by just doing a glaze. But I'm not getting the sense that is really all that necessary. I forgot every. I will paint those like this some silver enamel on these goggles when I get to the silver enamel. So, especially for the boots, we're going to do a glaze to kind of help smooth some of the blending goes. I'm going to take the two middle colors and make a glaze out of that. If you do a glaze out of one of your highlights, you can tend to get kind of that chalky look to it, just because those lighter colors are going to have very little of the actual pigment left in them, I guess. Or that's something along the lines of what's been described. You can always go on to Reaper Pro Tips and ask if you have paint questions about their paints. That's a better place to ask and get clarification on. I have been told by her that works better to do one of the mid-tone colors rather than doing a highlight color. And then if you need to bring your highlights back in, you can get your highlight color and kind of bring those back in as necessary. And there we go. See? Now looks a lot more blended. And it even looks like they match. And this is just, more in light than the boots, which is true. So that pretty much does it for the leather. So I will see you next week for the next paint along. All right. Have a good one. Bye.